There is a rare kind of power that lives in the heart of those who remain still when the world demands a reaction. Imagine for a moment that everything you've built, every effort, every sacrifice, is stripped away in an instant. Most people would crumble, but not you. Not the one who has trained their mind to remain composed, steady, unmoved. Because the truth is, when the storm rages, the person who stays centered doesn't just survive, they dominate. That's the secret the most remarkable minds throughout history have known and lived by. Look at Nikola Tesla, the visionary who gifted the world with electricity's true potential. His life was a series of betrayals, thefts, and relentless mockery. But what did he do when competitors tried to sabotage him? He didn't lash out. He didn't retaliate with the chaos they handed him. Instead, he withdrew into his mind, into the sanctuary of focus, precision, and unshakable calm. He knew chaos cannot touch the person who lives in the eye of the storm. And that is where you must position yourself, in the calm center, where power lives. Because the man who doesn't flinch is the man who holds all the power. But this isn't a talent you're born with. It's a skill, a discipline. You forge it like steel, through deliberate practice and intentional living. When others panic, you will pause. When emotions flood the room, you will anchor deeper into stillness, not as a sign of weakness, but as the ultimate form of control. You must decide, will you be the one swallowed by the storm, or the one who becomes it? This decision is not made once. It is made daily, in the silent corridors of your mind. Because mastery of the mind is the true battlefield. The loud world will try to provoke you, test you, and push every button. But the trained mind, it doesn't chase after every thought. It doesn't get swept into the current of fear or doubt. It watches, it waits, and when the time is right, it strikes with precision. Think about Frida Kahlo, the artist who lived in constant physical agony. She could have surrendered to pain, but instead, she painted her suffering into masterpieces. Her mind wasn't governed by her body's torment. She channeled every drop of it into art that still speaks across centuries. That's not just endurance. That's the mastery of perception. That's the level you must reach. To see opportunity where others see devastation. To hear clarity when the world is deafened by noise. And here's the unspoken truth. Your environment doesn't define your peace. Your perspective does. Circumstances will never dictate your mental state, unless you allow them to. But the one who commands their mind commands their reality. The starting point, mental discipline, controlled attention. It is the ability to take back your focus the moment chaos starts whispering in your ear. Because here's the reality. Your emotions don't rise because of events. They rise because of how you interpret those events. That is your leverage point. The moment tension creeps in, interrupt the pattern. Don't let it own you. How? First, breathe. Deep, conscious breaths that remind your mind who's in charge. Then, ask yourself one powerful question. What is the single, constructive step I can take right now? You see, the mind cannot hold both action and fear at the same time. The moment you choose action, any action, fear starts dissolving. Alexander Graham Bell knew this well. Facing ridicule for his telephone, he didn't waste time on critics. He focused on the next small step, the next innovation, the next solution. That's how pioneers think. That's how you must think. Because in the space between what happens and how you react lies your ultimate freedom. Now, imagine building your inner world like a fortress. Each thought, each choice, lays another brick. This is not about shutting out life, but creating a place within where you are untouchable, unshakable. This fortress is built during peace so that it stands during war. Day by day, you feed your mind carefully, not with negativity or pointless noise, but with stories of triumph, ideas that expand your vision, philosophies that remind you, you are the master here. Like J.K. Rowling, who, before her success, faced rejection after rejection. Her mind could have collapsed under the weight of it all. But she kept building that fortress, brick by brick, belief by belief, until the world caught up with the vision she held within. That's your job. Guard your mind like the gatekeeper of a great citadel. Be ruthless with what you allow in conversations, media, environments, because what enters your mind becomes the material from which your life is built. And within your mental fortress, plant a garden of gratitude, because gratitude is an alchemy. It transforms lack into abundance instantly. When you focus on what remains, not what's lost, you turn adversity into advantage. This is not just philosophy, it is strategy. And the most successful people, they practice it with surgical precision. This is the blueprint. The mind as a fortress. Focus as your shield. Gratitude as your secret weapon. You are not here to be tossed around by circumstances. You are here to rule them. Master your mind. And the world bends to you. Let's strip it all down. What truly separates those who thrive from those who merely survive? It isn't luck. It's not talent. It's the ability to choose your response every single time. That tiny gap between what happens to you and what you do next, that's your kingdom, your dominion. But here's what most never learn. That space is expandable. The more you stretch it, the more control you seize back from the chaos around you. That is how you forge an unbreakable mind. Take Leonardo da Vinci. Genius, innovator, artist, yet endlessly frustrated by the limitations of his time. He sketched machines that wouldn't be possible for centuries, but he didn't rage against the world's delay. Instead, he mastered the art of pause, reflection. He held space between his vision and reality, patiently feeding his curiosity until the world caught up. That's what the deliberate response is about. Not reacting, but responding. Thoughtfully, strategically. When you let your emotions drive the wheel, you hand over your power to the primitive parts of your brain, that old survival mechanism screaming for fight or flight. But when you practice the pause, when you create that breathing room, you invite your higher mind to the table. It's not suppression, it's mastery. President Nelson Mandela, 27 years imprisoned, yet when he walked free, he didn't choose vengeance. He chose nation-building, because during those long years, he trained himself not to react like a prisoner, but to respond like a leader. That's the gap we all must build. So, how do you expand that space? You start small. Don't wait for life's biggest challenges to test you. Begin with the everyday frictions, traffic interruptions, misunderstandings. Notice the impulse to snap back. Then stop. Count. Breathe. Redirect. Ask, will my next words serve the person I want to become? You're not just pausing. You're rewiring your brain. And each pause is a new thread in the fabric of your character. Stronger, more deliberate, more powerful. It's ironic. Slowing down your reaction speeds up your growth, because every deliberate response builds trust, both within yourself and with others. In business, in relationships, in leadership, people follow the one who remains calm when the room catches fire. The composed mind becomes the compass. Look at Eleanor Roosevelt. She faced relentless public scrutiny, yet she carried herself with quiet authority. She said, "No one can make you feel inferior without your consent." That's the wisdom of someone who owns their response, who refuses to give away their peace. And let me tell you, the benefits are tangible. Research shows that those who develop emotional regulation aren't just happier. They make sharper decisions, nurture deeper relationships, and yes, even live longer. It's not a coincidence. It's neuroplasticity. Every time you pause, instead of reacting, you reinforce the neural pathways of calm, clarity, and control. But this isn't just about avoiding bad outcomes. It's about unlocking a state of mind where your best ideas, your deepest insights, and your most courageous actions live. Because when your mind isn't hijacked by reactivity, it becomes fertile ground for creativity. The static clears, and your inner genius finally gets airtime. That's when you step into the life you're meant to build, not the one dictated by default responses, but the one crafted by conscious choice. And don't forget, this isn't a solo journey. Surround yourself with those who also practice the art of the pause. The collective energy of composed minds creates spaces where solutions thrive and visions manifest. Warren Buffett, for instance, credits much of his success not just to financial acumen, but to the ability to wait, to observe, to not jump at every market movement. That patience is strategic. It's a weapon. So here's your practice. Today, when something triggers you, whether it's a harsh word, an unexpected problem, or even your own self-doubt, don't react. Pause. Breathe deep. Then ask, what response would my highest self choose here? That single habit can redefine your destiny, because between stimulus and response is not just a space. It is the birthplace of your freedom, your growth, your power. Master that space, and you master your world. Now that you've grasped the power of pause, let's elevate it by constructing something even more formidable, your emotional stronghold. A place within you so fortified, no storm can breach it. This is not some abstract metaphor. It's a mental architecture you can build, brick by brick, choice by choice. Think of it like this. A fortress isn't assembled when the enemy is already at the gates. It's built ahead of time, with foresight, with strategy, with discipline. Your emotional resilience follows the same blueprint. Every thought you entertain, every narrative you repeat, is a stone laid in your inner citadel. But here's the catch. If you're careless, if you let negativity or doubt seep in unchecked, you're laying weak stones, flimsy walls that collapse at the first challenge. But you're different. You're intentional. Every morning is your construction site. When you wake up, you decide, what mindset am I building today? What emotions am I inviting into my stronghold? Begin your day with intent, not by scrolling through noise, but by setting your mental compass. Will you dwell on problems or on potential? Look at Marie Curie, pioneering scientist, first person to win 2 Nobel Prizes in different fields. She didn't achieve this by accident. Her emotional stronghold was built on discipline, focus, and a relentless pursuit of knowledge, even while battling personal tragedy and societal doubt. She constructed an inner world where perseverance reigned, and the world had no choice but to follow. That's the level of fortification you need, because life will test you with setbacks, with betrayals, with failures. But a mind that's been fortified, it doesn't break, it adapts. Here's a practical exercise. Curate your mental diet. Just like you wouldn't fuel your body with garbage, don't feed your mind with anything that weakens your focus or optimism. Choose books, conversations, and content that nourish you, that sharpen your vision and deepen your resolve. You're not just feeding your mind, you're programming your perception. And perception, my friend, is everything. 2 people face the same problem. One crumbles, the other rises. Why? Not because one had it easier, but because of the lens they looked through. Take Oprah Winfrey. Her story began in poverty and trauma, but she reframed every hardship as preparation. Every setback became a stepping stone. She didn't let her circumstances define her mindset. She defined her mindset, and her mindset redefined her circumstances. That's the essence of your fortress. It gives you the power to reframe. When things go wrong, and they will, ask, what's the lesson here? What strength is being forged in me right now? Because remember, the world outside you can be chaos, but inside, You decide. It can be serenity, clarity, strength. Another pillar of your fortress is gratitude, not as a shallow practice, but as a deeply strategic one. Gratitude is the great equalizer. It shifts your focus from what's missing to what's present, from loss to possibility. Even when it feels like everything's crumbling, gratitude reminds you there's still power in your hands, still a mind to think, still a heart to act, still a day to conquer. Athlete Serena Williams, with every victory and every injury, maintained this practice. She didn't just count titles, she counted lessons, counted blessings. That's what kept her returning stronger, sharper. You can cultivate that same unshakable stance. Now, be vigilant about your mind's gate. Guard it like a sentry. Not everything deserves access. If a thought weakens you, dismiss it. If a conversation drains you, redirect it. If a habit corrupts your focus, replace it. Because your mind is your kingdom, and you are its sovereign. Finally, remember that within the walls of your fortress lies a sanctuary, a space of gratitude, vision, and unwavering self-belief. It's where your highest self resides, waiting to be summoned whenever the world tries to shake you. Every day you reinforce these walls. You're not just protecting yourself. You're expanding your power. Power to lead, to inspire, to create change. Your emotional fortress isn't isolation. It's preparation. It's the ground on which you'll build your greatest achievements. Start today. One thought, one choice, one brick at a time. Once your inner fortress stands tall, the next evolution is connection, but not with just anyone. To grow, to sustain your unshakable calm, you must build your alliance. A circle of minds as disciplined, driven, and elevated as your own aspirations. No one ascends alone. The myth of the solitary genius is just that, a myth. Behind every extraordinary individual is a network of thinkers, challengers, encouragers. Look at Elon Musk. Behind the headlines of rockets and electric cars is a mind sharpened by proximity to other brilliant, relentless innovators. His mastermind wasn't built by accident. It was curated with precision, with people who didn't just agree, but expanded his vision. And you need the same. Think of your mastermind like an elite council, not just friends, but allies committed to growth. People who remind you who you're becoming, especially when the path feels heavy. People who don't let you settle. But here's the key, choose wisely. This is not about quantity, it's about quality. 3 solid minds with integrity, clarity, and courage are worth more than 100 shallow connections. What should you seek in these allies? Look for those who've cultivated discipline over their reactions. Those who stand steady in uncertainty. Those who think bigger, act bolder, and live with intention. Because energy is contagious. Surround yourself with complainers, and you'll start shrinking. Surround yourself with visionaries, and your mind expands. It's not just support, it's acceleration. Now, don't just gather these allies, activate them. Establish intentional rhythms of connection. Weekly check-ins, monthly deep dives, quarterly strategy sessions. Keep it structured, purposeful. This isn't just socializing, it's collective evolution. And there's a reciprocity here. Don't just absorb wisdom. Bring value. Share your insights, your struggles, your breakthroughs. A mastermind thrives when every participant contributes to the collective fire. Consider Maya Angelou. Her circle included thinkers, artists, activists. They challenged each other, uplifted each other, holding one another to higher standards. That's the alchemy of a true alliance. It transforms potential into reality. But here's a truth you need to internalize. Alliances aren't just external. Your most critical conversations are the ones you have with yourself. Your self-talk is the dialogue that never ends, and it shapes your reality far more than anyone else's words. What do you say to yourself when things fall apart? Do you reinforce doubt? Or do you remind yourself of your power, your history of overcoming, your capacity to adapt? Because your subconscious is always listening, and it believes whatever you tell it most often. When you say, "I can't handle this," your mind obeys. When you declare, "I will figure this out, like I always do," your mind starts generating solutions. This is why auditing your self-talk is non-negotiable. Start catching the phrases you repeat unconsciously. Replace them with declarations of strength, curiosity, resilience. Not empty affirmations, strategic statements that align with your highest self. Think of Vincent van Gogh, tormented, misunderstood, yet his internal dialogue was fiercely committed to creation. He said, "What would life be if we had no courage to attempt anything?" Even as the world ignored him, his mind insisted on trying, on expressing, on evolving. That's your task. Speak to yourself like the leader you are becoming, not the critic you're trying to silence. Because here's the most empowering truth. Your words shape your focus, and your focus shapes your emotions. Shift your language, and you shift your life. This is your double strategy. Build your alliance externally, with select, powerful minds, and internally, by mastering your own narrative. Together, they form a support system that not only stabilizes you in crisis, but propels you forward in ambition. And remember, no empire was built in isolation, but every empire was first built in the mind. Now that your alliances are forged and your inner voice is sharpened, it's time to cultivate what might be the most strategic advantage of all, the power of perspective. Because here's the truth. The events in your life are rarely the problem. The problem is the meaning you attach to them. That meaning, that's entirely in your hands. Two people can face identical storms, yet one sees devastation while the other sees design, an opening, a disguised opportunity. Which one are you training yourself to be? Consider Amelia Earhart. She wasn't just the first woman to fly solo across the Atlantic. She was a master of perspective. Every setback, every mechanical failure, every societal barrier, she reframed as part of the journey, not the end of it. She didn't ask, "Why me?" She asked, "What next?" That's the shift. Life doesn't happen to you, it happens for you. But only if you choose to see it that way. Every disappointment carries a hidden invitation, a lesson, a pivot, a refinement of your character. When you ask, "What's the gift here?" you train your mind to stay solution-focused rather than problem-obsessed. Perspective is not denial. It's strategy. It's like standing on a mountain. From the base, the path seems steep, impossible. But from the summit, everything looks clear. The path, the progress, the potential. You must train your mind to live from that summit view, even when you're still climbing. One way to do this: time shifting. Ask yourself, in 5 years, will this still matter? What will I wish I had done in this moment? That single mental shift reduces anxiety, clears emotional noise, and clarifies your next move. It's how Nelson Mandela maintained his vision through decades of imprisonment. He didn't see just walls and bars. He saw the blueprint for a new nation. His mind transcended his environment because his perspective was rooted in possibility, not limitation. You have that same capacity, and there's more. Visualization is your secret weapon for mastering perspective. Your brain doesn't differentiate between vividly imagined experiences and reality. When you visualize handling challenges with poise, clarity, and courage, you program your nervous system to replicate that behavior when reality arrives. Michael Phelps, the most decorated Olympian of all time, was known for this. He mentally rehearsed every race, every possible scenario, including his goggles filling with water, which actually happened. But because he had visualized it countless times, he didn't panic. He executed calmly, flawlessly. That's the power of pre-living your success, your composure, your strategy. So start today. Choose 3 scenarios that typically shake your calm. Maybe it's confrontation, public speaking, or sudden setbacks. Visualize yourself moving through them effortlessly, anchored, decisive. Make it vivid. Feel the steadiness in your body. Hear the strength in your voice. See the outcome unfolding in your favor. Do this daily. 5 minutes is enough to rewire your response patterns. And here's the brilliance. The more you practice, the more your brain believes it's already mastered these challenges. So when they show up for real, you respond not as the novice, but as the veteran. Finally, remember this. Perspective is a muscle. It strengthens with use. Monitor your thoughts. When negativity creeps in, reframe. When doubt whispers, counter with possibility. Because the ultimate freedom isn't in changing the world. It's in changing how you see the world. And when your perspective is expansive, when your vision stays elevated, nothing can shake your equilibrium. You don't just survive, you ascend. Now, with your mind fortified, your alliances secured, your perspective elevated, you are ready for the final mastery, deliberate response. There is a space, a powerful, sacred space between what happens and what you choose to do about it. Most people never realize that space exists. They live on autopilot, reacting impulsively, driven by instinct, emotion, and old patterns. But not you. You are training yourself to respond, not react. And that difference, it's the line between mediocrity and mastery, between living by default or by design. Think of Mahatma Gandhi. When faced with oppression, violence, and relentless opposition, he didn't react with rage. He responded with unwavering purpose, deliberate action, controlled power. That's not weakness. That's strength in its purest form. A mind so disciplined, the world could not shake it. That's the level of presence you're building. When life throws its inevitable chaos at you, your first move is not to react. It is to pause. In that pause, you ask, what outcome do I want to create here? What would the strongest, most disciplined version of me do now? And then you move with intention. You choose your response based on who you are becoming, not based on the noise of the moment. Here's a practice. In moments of tension, silently count to 10. It's not about the number, it's about reclaiming that gap, expanding that space. Then breathe deeply, ground yourself in your body, and respond from your highest self. This is the method that transforms leaders into legends. It's how you become the person others turn to when everything is collapsing, because you are the calm in the storm, the clarity in the confusion. But don't stop there. Pair this with physical mastery, because your body and mind are one system. A calm mind thrives in a cared-for body. You need your physical vessel aligned with your mental power. That means quality sleep, 7 to 8 hours. It means daily movement, whether it's running, lifting, stretching, whatever keeps your energy fluid and your mind sharp. It means feeding your body with fuel that doesn't just taste good but makes you feel good. Look at someone like LeBron James. Not just a basketball player, but a performance architect. His investment in his body is an investment in his mind, his longevity, his legacy. When your body is in balance, your threshold for stress expands. Your composure becomes your default, not your exception. And remember, setbacks will still come. You'll still face moments where the old reactions tempt you. That's part of the path. Progress isn't perfection, it's consistency. Each time you pause, breathe, and choose your response, you're not just handling a moment, you're rewiring your brain, strengthening your character, expanding your power. So build this life methodically, with intention, with practice, with patience, because the ultimate measure of your strength is not how calm you are when life is easy, but how centered you remain when life is brutal. And here's the final truth. Your composure is not just for you. It's a gift to everyone around you. Your family watches how you respond. Your team mirrors your energy. Your friends draw courage from your steadiness. You are setting a precedent, writing a legacy, showing them that it's possible to face life's storms and still stand tall, still think clearly, still move forward. In a world addicted to reaction, you will be the exception, the one who leads, who inspires, who becomes the storm. Master your mind. Master your response. Master your destiny. Because in the end, the world doesn't need more noise. It needs more minds like yours, composed, deliberate, and unstoppable.